It's nearly impossible to come up with a more unforgettable pasta dish than the raviolo I'm about to make. Each of the enormous raviolo, which is the singular form of ravioli, contains a soft egg yolk perched atop a rich ricotta spinach filling. When you cut open the raviolo, the egg yolk oozes into one delicious bite after another. We're using 2 cups of 00 flour. In Italy, flour is classified either as 1, 0, or 00, which is the most highly refined and is talcum powder soft. When you touch it, it is so soft. Adding salt to the dough helps develop flavor, so we're going to use a half a teaspoon of salt, and we're going to use 3 eggs. And this is made in a food processor. Once you master this, you will be making a lot of pasta at home. And we also add to this pasta dough 1 tablespoon high quality extra virgin olive oil. So now process. And when the dough comes together, sort of forms a ball, which it's doing now, that's your pasta dough. The eggs and the flour should be at room temperature so that they combine very well, but oh, what a beautiful dough. Needs very little kneading, but just to give it a few turns on a floured surface. So here we have a nice, smooth, moist, but not sticky dough. And you must rest this dough. It allows the flour particles to absorb the egg moisture more fully. Very important to let it rest. So wrap it up and let it rest for at least 30 minutes at room temperature. On with the filling. It is basically steamed spinach and ricotta with some lovely flavorings. So we have a steamer basket right here, fitted into our pot, and we have 1 bunch, 1 big handful, basically, of spinach leaves. It takes just a few seconds for the spinach to wilt. You can just lift your spinach out, beautifully wilted, but it is damp, so we're going to let it cool slightly and squeeze it. And just use your tongs. This is a potato ricer. And look how much moisture comes out. Wow. 1 bunch of spinach really reduces to quite a small amount. And now just saute this in about a half a tablespoon of butter. So that's just perfect. And in a bowl, mix a half a cup of fresh ricotta cheese, 1½ ounces of grated Parmesan, white pepper, and nutmeg. So now chop the cooled spinach, and we'll show you an easy technique for forming the ravioli. So mix this right into the ricotta cheese. Stir this up. Once it's well mixed, transfer the whole batch right into a pastry bag. This is how you're going to pipe the filling onto the raviola. So here's our dough, cut into 8 pieces, and this filling fills 4 raviolo. We don't need all this dough, so keep it moist under a bowl like that. That's the way to keep it on your bench. And start on 1 with your wonderful pasta attachment for your mixer. This works so well. Now make this a little bit narrower from 1 to 2 and run this through. So with each passing at a higher number, your pasta gets thinner and wider. Now we want to roll this dough out to number 6. It'll be smooth and gossamer enough for a very tender ravioli. So there. Now cut your rounds, and we're using a 4-inch fluted biscuit cutter. So it's going to make 4, so we need 8 rounds. Now, you want to mark with not the cutter part of a biscuit cutter, just mark a little guide for those of you who are just beginning doing this kind of thing. And you squeeze your filling. So you do 2 rounds of the filling, leaving a little indentation in the middle. This is your well into which you can drop your egg yolk. Look how cute that is. And now using a brush with just plain water, put on the glue. This is going to hold the top layer of pasta dough onto the bottom layer, but making sure that the top pasta is glued to the bottom pasta. And drop this into heavily salted boiling water. 2 minutes in the boiling water. Serve right out of the hot water with a little bit of brown butter, a little bit of sliced summer truffle, a sprinkling of Parmesan cheese, and when you cut into this, do you want to see? That egg yolk just oozes out. Fantastic raviolo. And I'm just trying to decide between linguine and spaghetti for my bacon and eggs pasta. I think I'll do linguine today. So the pot of water is boiling. And I like to heavily salt the water because you don't have to add too much salt later on. And you can use for this recipe, by the way, pretty much any pasta that you have in your pantry. And follow the box's instructions. And this pasta says about 11 minutes. So I'll time myself. I think I can get the sauce made in plenty of time. When you first throw your pasta in, just stir it a little bit so it doesn't lump up. And make sure your heat is really high so that water comes right back to a boil. And that should come back to a boil very rapidly. And in a pan, now this is the sauce. This is our bacon and egg sauce. We're heating 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And to that, I'm adding 3 cloves of garlic that have been lightly crushed. And this is going to be cooked just until it renders its flavor into the oil. Now don't burn the garlic. And as soon as it sizzles, you can remove the garlic and add your bacon. And we have right here cut up into nice small pieces, a half a pound of good flavorful bacon, and pretty lean bacon at that. And put that right into your garlic flavored olive oil. And now you see how lean that is? Really important. Cook until crisp. That's going to take about 4 minutes. And into a bowl, we're going to start the egg mixture. 2 large eggs. And for this now, make sure that the eggs are really fresh. It's very important because the eggs are only going to be cooked by the hot pasta. And you have to have impeccably fresh eggs. Into the eggs, which you will lightly beat, add half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Get the best cheese you can find. And grate it by hand at home. Don't buy the pre-grated stuff in the supermarket. Use freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And this has one of the lowest fat contents of all cheeses, made with skimmed or partially skimmed milk. 1/4 cup of chopped Italian flat leaf parsley and lots of black pepper. So the bacon is cooking. I think there's our bacon, nice and crispy. Drain as much of the fat off the bacon as you can because you don't want to eat the bacon fat. You want to eat the bacon. And now we're going to add a half a cup of white wine, delicious white wine, to our skillet. But boy, does that smell good. And just scrape up the little bits in the pan and let most of the wine evaporate. And if you don't want to cook with wine, well, you can use 1/4 cup of water. So you're just really burning off the alcohol anyway, and all you're going to end up with is the flavor. Just turn it off and let it sit here until the pasta is ready. So should we try the Mark Strausman trick? When the pasta sticks to the front of your refrigerator, as Mark always tells me, it's done. And that's sticking pretty well. So now drain this into a colander. And I always turn the cold water on, not on the pasta, but just to keep the steam down. It's also a great way to get a facial. Shake off most of the moisture. And then you put this right into your egg and cheese mixture. Toss it up. See, now this pasta is so hot that it is certainly cooking those eggs without curdling them. And now add your bacon and serve. My lunch is done. Are you going to make this for your supper? I think you should try it. You can always put on a little bit more grated cheese, and it's great the next day, fried in olive oil until golden brown. Linguini Carbonara. Perciatelli with zucchini and breadcrumbs. It is oh so delicious, especially when the zucchini are tiny and tender like that. The breadcrumbs are homemade out of the very best French bread. Could be a leftover loaf. I'm just breaking it up and putting it into my food processor to grind up into coarse crumbs. You want kind of coarse crumbs. And the perciatelli, have you had this? It's a little bit hard to find in the stores. It is a thick pasta with a hole in the center. That's really good for slurping. And I'm going to cook the whole box. I love perciatelli. This is a 16-ounce box. And you can get ronzoni or you can get the imported perciatelli. It's sort of like bucatini. Bucatini might be even a little tiny bit fatter, but I love it. And let's see, here we have our pasta fork. The water is generously salted, about 2 tablespoons of salt in the water. And oh, don't forget, set your timer for 12 minutes. It's a really good idea to read the cooking time on the pasta box. Saves you a lot of thinking, a lot of testing. Set it for the number of minutes it says 12, and then check it, and probably done. Have a colander in the sink, and now the breadcrumbs. And this makes really good breadcrumbs. And now heat a couple tablespoons of olive oil with a little bit, this is like 2 cloves of garlic, finely minced. Heat that up and then add your breadcrumbs. And then coat them lightly. And if you have an oven that's hot, you could cook them all on top of the stove if you like, but I like to just put them in a hot oven to dry out. And you know how everyone loves garlic bread? Well, put the garlic bread in your pasta instead of eating it on the side. It's a little bit healthier for you. And there, the breadcrumbs are lovely. And this is a goodly amount. I would say that's about 2 cups of breadcrumbs. Sweat the garlic. And you don't want the breadcrumbs greasy, but you do want them flavorful. Little tiny bit of pepper and salt. And once you get them in the hot oven, watch them. You don't want to burn them. And you don't dirty 2 pans. Now, in another pan, heat about 1/3 of a cup of really good olive oil. This is an Italian olive oil. It's Santa Caterina. And I try new olive oils all the time. We have lots of guests who bring us olive oil too, and we try every one. This one happens to be very delicious. And I'm slicing the little zucchinis on the mandolin. This goes very, very fast, and you don't feel like you're taking too much time preparing the vegetables, but see how quickly this just slices everything utterly evenly. And don't look away while you're slicing so you don't get the tips of your fingers. And when that oil gets hot, you'll lightly fry these. And the oil goes right into the pasta too. These are ready to go. And a little bit of parsley. Big, flat Italian parsley leaves. You can just slice these if you like. These are giant leaves. So you can wrap them all up like this, like you would a basil leaf. Just slice like this. Sort of a coarse chop. So that looks pretty. See how nice? And oh, it smells so delicious. So while you're waiting for the oil to heat up, grate yourself some Parmesan. This is very easy to do on a simple hand grater like this. That's called Parmigiano Reggiano. Always look for the imported kind of Parmesan cheese. And again, you know your guests, your family better than I, so grate as much cheese as you think they're going to need for their pasta. Everybody in my family loves cheese. So there's a nice little pile. And now all we have to do is, oh, there it's nice and hot. Fry up the zucchini. Let's see how much time we have left. 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Puffs up. Oops, uh-oh. Slippery. I think it's close to done. Very, very good pasta. Cooked in 10 minutes. Well, we have a very high flame and a very hot pot. So I think that might be the reason that it cooked so well. Now this pasta might hold a little bit of water in the holes, and I'm just going to let it drip with a little bit of water. We might need a little bit to thin out the final dish. And for additional flavor, you can add a little tiny bit of butter. So altogether, about 1/3 of a cup of oil and a tablespoon of butter. Add your pasta, toss in a little bit of the parsley. Smells great. You're charming. I'm not going to put all the oil in. Let me just see how this is. I think I can leave out about at least a few tablespoons of the oil. Oh, there we go. Well, our timer was set perfectly. It's time to eat the pasta, not just to take it out of the pot. And now we get our breadcrumbs. They're crispy and golden brown. And you don't have to add them all. Don't, because there's way too many. Save them. They are extra good. And there you have another pasta in 12 minutes, start to finish. I'm just draining the pasta. We're using a pound of very nice medium-sized shell pasta. And we want to make sure that we cool it off completely because we're going to make a cold pasta salad with this. Now, generally, I would just rinse it under cold water like this, shake it out. And I always like to add just a touch of olive oil to the pasta. If it's cold enough, it won't stick. But if it has any heat left in it, it will actually start to stick a little bit. So a little oil helps a lot. When I was catering, I made so many of these fantastic pasta salads. In the skillet, we're going to saute some beautiful, fresh, small leeks that we found at the farmer's market. Just in a little bit of oil. There's white and green parts included. The leeks are nicely washed and cut crosswise. And we can just cook that until they're just translucent. The corn, pretty fresh corn. I'm going to slice it right into the dish, see if I can keep it there. It's so easy to take corn off the cob like this. You can do this if you have even cooked corn. Leftover cooked corn can be added to a pasta. It'll pick up all the flavors of the rest of the ingredients and be very nice. But I'm using uncooked corn for this particular version. And save all the cobs for the chickens. I love corn cobs. Now the pasta. Looks good, doesn't it? See, this has a little bit of steam left in it. Just that touch of oil. Just to make it glisten. Now, pasta salads, I like room temperature. I really don't like them icy cold, unless it's a very hot day and everything else is very icy cold that you're putting into it. Add your corn. Now, this is 2.5 cups of corn kernels, about 4 to 5 ears of corn, depending on the size of the ears. It's pretty with yellow corn. It's also beautiful with white corn. Silver Queen, or butter and sugar, yellow and white. Now already, doesn't that look pretty? Now you're just going to really cook this until the corn is cooked. Add a little bit of freshly ground black pepper, and if you like, a large pinch of crushed red pepper flakes as a little bite, and a little bit more salt. So we'll just let this cook. Don't forget to stir it. And I'm using egg-shaped cherry tomato. These are really pretty. And we have fresh basil, flat leaf parsley. The tomatoes can go right in. About a pint of cherry tomatoes. A half a cup of basil leaves that you can just tear. You can use opal basil, the purple basil, or you can use these big, nice Genovese basil. That corn is starting to smell. That's when you know it's done. Flat leaf parsley, about 1/4 cup. A little bit of freshly squeezed lemon juice, just 1/4 cup. That's a half. I'm going to just add about 1/4. Looking very nice. Doesn't that look good? I mean, you can eat it just like this, but it's even better with that corn and leek and red hot peppers. Wish you could smell this. It's really nice. So there, isn't that pretty? That gets added right to the pasta. Corn kernels tend to take on a life of their own. We'll go hither and yon. There. Oh, boy, does that look good. Now, remember, if you're not on a diet, you can add some of your favorite cheese. Parmesan, of course, but try something a little bit different. A ricotta salata. This is a sheep's milk cheese, slightly salty, that comes from the island of Sicily. And you can crumble it, but you can also slice it. I'm going to try it on this mandolin just to see if it's not too warm. Let's see. Oh yeah, see that? See how pretty it is when it comes off the slicer, just like that? And just all over the top. There. Adds just a little authentic Italian touch. And just serve this right away. Linguini with clams. This hails from the Campania region of Italy, where it's traditionally prepared during the summer months when the ingredients are at their freshest. Packed with flavor, it should be nicely garlicky with a hint of spice and the unmistakable brininess of the clams. I'm going to start, because this takes a very short period of time to make, by cooking my linguini. And just push that down into the boiling water. Make sure the water is nicely salted. Salty water makes this pasta really good. Okay, that'll come back to a boil. Now, in a great big skillet like this, large enough to hold all these clams in almost one layer, adds 2 cloves of garlic, very finely minced. And to the garlic, add 1 large shallot, peeled and finely minced. You can use onion if you like, but the shallot really tastes very, very good. And a large pinch of red pepper flakes. And 1/4 cup of dry white wine. And an 8-ounce bottle of clam juice. So bring that to a boil before you add your little neck clams. The clams should be tightly shut. They should be clean. And you should have soaked these in clean water, cold water, for at least a half an hour to make sure they exude any sand or grit that's in the clams. Okay, this is coming to a boil. Add the clams. At this point, if you were making red clam sauce, you would add 2 cups of chopped fresh tomatoes to the pan. So cover the pot and keep on high. This should cook for, just about 3 or 4 minutes. So here are our clams, beautifully steamed. I always add about a tablespoon or two of unsalted butter and a sprinkling of fresh parsley. Stir that around. Oh, these look so amazing. So that is the white clam. Now here is the red clam. We made a batch in the test kitchen so that you could see. It's not really a red sauce, but it does have the addition of the chopped fresh tomatoes, and it is beautiful. People love this as well as the white. I think our pasta is probably done. Yes, it looks done. And because it's been cooked in this easy to use pasta pot, watch this. See, you can just lift it out. It has a built-in colander. You can just pour that out onto your clams. So serve this right in big bowls. Oops. Each one of these will serve 4 generously. And make sure you give lots of clams. Spectacular. It's so good and easy to make. I suggest you add this to your weeknight recipe repertoire.